there's so much buzz and insanity around the quarterback competition that you don't even really get to the other important conversations, and you certainly it's hard to get to maybe the sneaky ones, the underrated ones. But Alec Lewis, in one of his articles, hit on one that I've been thinking a lot about, and it's the changes around the coaching structure with the O line.
Mm.
New offensive line coach. Frank Smith also comes in from the Dolphins to be the new assistant head coach. That was a very successful run game there. Uh, the O line was so unhealthy last year. I just I have this, I guess maybe hope, but more kind of premonition that the O line is going to jump up into a category that no one sees coming. I think it is easily the most underrated talker of the offseason thus far.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. It's been talked about, but nobody was really diving into it because obviously it's the Kyler and JJ show that dominates all the headlines. Um, it'll be all of this is like really compelling stuff when you try to break down what it all means. So, they it sounds like they're going to change their offensive run scheme. So now it's going to be much more of a wide zone scheme that you saw that the Miami Dolphins in, which they ran it really, really effectively. I know some people are going to look at the numbers and like, well, they're only like top 14 or 13 in rush production, but on a per carry basis, they were top five, right? So
Yeah.
when they had to run the ball, they're really, really good at it. It's just they probably were behind in a lot of games and had to start throwing the football and they couldn't control the game. So they're top five when it comes to yards per carry. And you look at the way that they run those things, and then you ask yourself, well, which one of the three running backs we have right now fits the system the best? It's probably Aaron Jones, and then Claiborne's probably number two, and then Jordan Mason, unfortunately, is probably the third best option when you talk about scheme fit. So I
Okay.
think that'll be a big talker for training camp is just which one of these guys can attack the outside perimeter, use his vision to see something that may not be there, see something that may not be diagrammed, and stick your foot in the ground and get north and south, or go the opposite direction and hit a cutback lane in the backside A or B gap. That's the way the zone scheme works. And it takes vision, it takes lateral quickness, and it takes a really quick first step, all of which Jordan Mason has shown, but not to the proficiency as Aaron Jones, and certainly not what we've seen out of Claiborne in college.
Can can I ask a doesn't know anything about football, the actual
Yeah.
way it's played guy question? Is there not within that, is the like, isn't there a place for a bruiser and a
Hmm.
carry guys for 6 like, there's still a place for a guy like that. Can that be a balance thing, or does he have to learn to fit in that scheme, or can they adjust their scheme to be inclusive of him? How does? Because I'm a big Jordan Mason guy.
So am I.
I
Yes.
I believe he's speaking of underrated, I think he's one of the more underrated players in the whole division.
Yeah, and I think he's one of the more valuable players when it comes to just straight up attitude on offense. You and I discussed Jawan Jennings and what he brings from a mentality standpoint. I think Jordan Mason does that for the running back room, and just for the offense as a whole. There's a place for him. I don't think that he's going to be cut. I don't think that they're like, oh, we can only go into the season with two running backs. I just think that they have to be very strategic about how they use these guys. I think it'll be Aaron Jones and Claiborne. If Claiborne can pick up this offense and he can get up to speed, I can see more of them being like the 1-2 when it comes to base downs. And then you get Jordan Mason in more of a specialized short yardage goal line, gotta have it, pick up first downs, so to speak. And then that often becomes less of like what your actual scheme is and just like, hey, we're letting the defense know we're just coming downhill.
We're
Like,
gonna punch you in the face.
yeah, we're
But
just gonna punch you in the face with our big running back, and he can make guys miss. And he's got wiggle ability, but I feel like he's more of that role right now.
with already having Josh Oliver on the team and adding Jawan Jennings, who's so good in 12 personnel, is it fair then for me to make the connection that you might kind of land in this world where you can take advantage of those guys' vision? If don't get me going on this Claiborne thing. You get me excited about him. You already know how I feel about
No.
him. So even the idea, I saw either Mason or Jones say that he's got a little Jameer Gibbs to him, and I was like,
Yes.
dial it back, or I'll buy a jersey like a psycho. The but is it fair to think that maybe you kind of then first time in a long time have this sort of balanced approach where if that wide zone scheme works really well and now you can line up in 12 and punch people in the face and let them know it's coming and just cram it, there might be an opportunity for the most balanced running attack we've had.
Yeah, not only that, it could be the most balanced rushing attack that we've had, but also it changes what you do in the passing game
Okay.
because everything marries up and everything's complementary.
Mhm.
Oftentimes and very often you try to make a lot of your base runs look like, or your base passes look like your base runs. You want to have the same formation, the same pre-snap movements. You want to have the same footwork by the running backs. You want the quarterbacks to have the same footwork on all these play actions. And so like everything has to sync up. So it's not just about the running game. It's also how does it synchronize in the choreography work with the quarterbacks, whether they're under center or not. How do they fake a handoff on a play action? What does their footwork look like? Okay, now if that's going to be our most successful run plays, let's say it's going to be something like a wide stretch. Like think of, for all the older fans out there, think of like the Peyton Manning handed off to Edgerrin James. It's
Mm.
getting out quickly and exposing that football, really reaching for that handoff and then pulling it back real quick on some sort of waggle or some sort of bootleg. Which quarterback's going to handle that the most? That also means that you got to have your back to the defense for a longer period of time versus just having fullback in the backfield, straight I formation. You do a quick turnaround, a quick ball fake, and you snap your feet around, your hips around, and you get your eyes back now on the defense. If this wide zone works out the way it sounds like on paper and the way people are sort of like, projecting here, you're going to have a quarterback that has his back to the defense for a much longer period of time. So, which quarterback can then turn around, process, decipher, and make the safe, accurate throw and do that more consistently? It seems like speed wise and footwork wise, it pairs up and marries better with what Kyler Murray's already shown in his pro career.